And let's start with a little crossover. The Caitlin Clark NBA crossover, Caitlin Clark's debut as an NBA analyst on NBC. So the ratings were just released for that Lakers-Knicks game on Sunday, and it was the most watched regular season Sunday night NBA game since 2002. They had 4.5 million viewers on NBC, and it peaked at 5 million.
Caitlin Clark just did a crazy thing. When NBC gave her a microphone for a single NBA game, the network was completely overwhelmed by the results. Executives are already pleading for more as records are being broken. The woman is still violating the internet while she isn't even on the court. Let's discuss what really transpired and why NBC keeps bringing her back. Please let me know in the comments before we go into the bizarre numbers. Are you only now learning about this, or did you really observe Caitlin as an analyst?
It was up there with Maria Taylor, Carmelo Anthony, and Reggie Miller. But this was the most watched game of the season so far across all networks except for the tip-off games and also Christmas Day. And NBC actually talked about Caitlin Clark being a part of the broadcast. It said Rick Cordella spoke positively about Clark's debut, noting that she did a good job and handled the role with ease. He highlighted her understanding of the game and her ability to communicate clearly, two qualities that translate well from the court to the broadcast booth. They said that Clark was well prepared and comfortable in the setting, something that stood out given the size of the audience and the spotlight that comes with an NBA national broadcast. And I feel like that was a given. Like, I couldn't see Caitlin Clark.
NBC's Sunday night basketball doubleheader delivered eye-popping numbers as the Lakers versus Knicks matchup at Madison Square Garden drew 4.5 million viewers across NBC and Telemundo, making it the most watched Sunday night regular season NBA game since 2002 outside of Christmas broadcasts. And while this season marks the league's first run of regularly scheduled Sunday night national games, the takeaway is clear. The massive audience coincided with Caitlin Clark's presence at the analyst desk. Detail fans were quick to notice.
And I couldn't see Caitlin Clark being nervous in that situation because she has been on the biggest stages throughout her entire career, especially at Iowa. If you want to talk about that Iowa national championship game against South Carolina, they had over 20 million people who tuned into that game. So it seems like with Caitlin Clark, she rises to the occasion. But NBC also said that they are planning to bring Clark back later this season. They confirmed that she is scheduled to appear as an analyst for the Knicks versus Thunder on March 29th. Hopefully by that time, they're not talking about the CBA.
The woman's power to transform whatever she touches into gold is absurd, to be honest. It's sort of crazy to watch. Comment sections were filled with comments from those who claimed to have watched the entire game because they had tuned in just for Caitlin. Some even acknowledged that it was the first NBA game of the season that they had bothered to watch. She is currently experiencing that kind of pull.
Network aired the first two games of its Sunday night basketball franchise last weekend, and doubleheader delivered record-setting viewership. Sunday night's first game between the Los Angeles Lakers and the New York Knicks from Madison Square Garden averaged 4.5 million viewers across NBC and Telemundo. Oh my goodness, 4.5? Making it the most watched Sunday night regular season game since 2002.
We've never seen this level of real-time impact from a women's basketball star before. And while Michael Jordan's influence is often mentioned, most fans didn't get to witness that era unfold live. Whereas with Caitlin Clark, we're watching the effect happen right now as the numbers clearly back it up, which also ties into the NBA's growing interest in bringing her into moments like the three-point contest or even a potential showdown with Stephen Curry. An idea that makes sense given the league's sliding viewership and the need for a true needle mover during marquee events like All-Star Weekend.
It goes back to where the NBA was saying they needed Caitlin Clark to come over and shoot in the three-point contest, or at least have that contest against Stephen Curry, because they need her. They need her, man. Their numbers has been dwindling as well. So I can imagine they're thinking like, hey, look, we have a hot commodity. Let's get her over and let's get some viewership going for the All-Star Weekend.
It was strange seeing some people try to spin this into a men versus women basketball argument, with voices like L. Duncan framing it as a gender battle instead of what it really is. A smart move to feature the biggest draw in the sport to lift ratings, especially when the NBA has long supported the WNBA financially and has every reason to lean into what's clearly working. And while Caitlin Clark choosing not to enter the NBA three-point contest right away is completely her call, twisting that decision into a statement about gender politics misses the point entirely, because across both leagues she's undeniably the most popular player right now, which is exactly why it makes sense to feature her in moments that demand attention, a strategy NBC Sports president Rick Cordella reinforced by saying they want Clark involved far beyond the already announced March 29th appearance. After her first broadcast, Cordella was clearly impressed, checking every box and treating Caitlin Clark's debut as more than a one-off publicity stunt, praising her deep understanding of the game, clear communication, and how prepared and confident she looked despite the pressure of a national NBA audience, noting she handled the analyst role like a seasoned pro. NBC Sports has already confirmed her for the Knicks vs. Thunder game on March 29th, and with Cordella expressing interest in seeing her more in the future, it's obvious the network is signaling a potential long-term role, even if nothing official has been announced yet. Seeing Caitlin Clark in the broadcast booth regularly would be pretty exciting, especially with all the chaos surrounding the WNBA right now, where uncertainty over the CBA has even left the season's future in question, making this potentially the only way fans get their Clark fix if the league can't sort things out. And speaking of the CBA, things got messier yesterday when Ramona Shelburne shared what's supposedly the league's proposal, though it seems ESPN actually leaked it, revealing plans to significantly increase player salaries in line with recent and projected business growth, while still promoting league profitability and maintaining incentives for investment, a confidential document now circulating widely online. Sounds impressive on paper. The Supermax salary could jump from $250,000 last year to $1.2 million under the new deal, climbing to $1.8 million over 5 years, and with a higher revenue scenario adding 5%, it could even reach $2.4 million by year 5. Mind you, for just 4 months of basketball, which is phenomenal for WNBA players. While the average salary could rise from $120,000 in 2026 to $540,000, hitting $780,000 by the end of 5 years, and under that extra 5% growth scenario, the league-wide average could reach $1 million. Yet some still call this a slap in the face, even though it's a 5-year deal with room to renegotiate later, meaning players can push for more if the league grows as expected, so the criticism doesn't entirely add up. The smart move is to accept what's offered, demonstrate the league can sustain growth over the next 5 years, and then use real data to negotiate higher numbers, because treating this as a final, unchangeable deal makes no sense. If everything goes well, players gain genuine leverage backed by metrics. Yet some are rejecting it despite uncertainty over whether the season will even happen. The proposal also contains strange points. Marijuana testing would be removed, yet new treatment programs for substance use are added, disqualification periods under the anti-drug policy are shortened, complimentary All-Star tickets would be provided to all athletes, and WNBA League Pass subscriptions would be free, moves that are useful but sometimes contradictory. That last part is wild. Players usually have to pay for League Pass like everyone else, which is rough, but the addition of 2 developmental roster spots is a step in the right direction, even if those athletes can only suit up for a handful of games, increasing total active players from 12 to 14 and improving depth on benches. More roster spots and better referees are what truly enhance the WNBA experience, while contract details can be worked out separately. Back to Caitlin Clark, though, because she's the real story. She doesn't need to be playing to generate massive interest and boost ratings, and NBC recognized that instantly after her first appearance, planning more opportunities around her presence, which speaks volumes about her current value, especially as the league faces CBA chaos and the season itself remains uncertain. Caitlin Clark is proving she can thrive in a completely different role. If the WNBA season collapses, she has options, and NBC clearly wants her, with other networks likely lining up if she's available, giving her real leverage to build a career beyond playing. Her value isn't limited to on-court performance. She can analyze, broadcast, and draw viewers across formats, a rare crossover in women's basketball. Legends of the game earned respect, but this level of mainstream attention, pulling millions for a regular season NBA game just by sitting at a desk, is unprecedented. The NBA knows it, too, struggling with declining ratings and engagement, and Caitlin immediately solves that problem, making her a natural choice for All-Star Weekend and more broadcasts. While some try to frame this as a statement about gender or respect, the reality is simple. Caitlin Clark gets people to watch, networks want viewers, and everything else is just noise. What comes next will be fascinating to see. If the WNBA season happens, Caitlin Clark returns to dominating on the court. If it doesn't, she's already proven she has a broadcasting future whenever she chooses, and either way, she's more than fine. NBC isn't going to let her slip after seeing the numbers. They'll keep finding ways to put her in front of cameras, whether it's more NBA games, college basketball, or something entirely new, because the return on investment is undeniable. Meanwhile, the CBA situation remains messy, with both sides dug in, posturing, leaking to the media, and claiming the other is unreasonable, standard negotiation tactics. But through it all, Caitlin keeps winning, breaking viewership records and getting executives to publicly beg for her time, controlling her own narrative and building a brand that extends beyond any single league or role. With the 4.5 million viewers from that NBC broadcast a figure that's going to stick. Caitlin Clark's impact is going to come up in every conversation about her value, referenced in contract talks, partnership deals, and every opportunity she touches, because it proves something concrete. She moves the needle in measurable ways, not in theory or potential, but with actual results. And that's what networks care about, ratings and revenue. She delivered both, giving herself options, leverage, and a crowd of people eager to keep her involved in projects. Simply put, she broke viewership records without playing a game, and NBC can't stop planning her next appearance, while the WNBA better sort out its CBA quickly, because she doesn't need the league nearly as much as it needs her.